What an astounding revolution. Bitcoin is immune from attack.
Welcome to the Crypto Show's Digital Cash Evolution right here on the Bloomberg Network, and we are still in Sin City, Las Vegas, New Mexico. No, Nevada. Excuse me.
There's different Las Vegas, as it turns out.
Yes, there is more than one Las Vegas, and I am here with my trusty co-host, Chuck.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Pretty good. What can you tell me about value there, Chuck?
Well, all value is belief. So whatever I believe to have value actually does in turn have value.
Wait, I thought it was corned beef.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot. I'm used to speaking to a raw vegan audience.
I'm sorry if we offended any vegans. No, I'm not.
Just the raw.
Just raw vegans.
The revealing is healing.
The revealing is healing.
And the conditioning is real.
I'll be the raw carnivore.
All right. And we are very blessed also to have our guest, Paul Puey of, I want to say Airbits, but I know it's not. It's Edge.
I always say Airbits, but whatever.
Oh, you're welcome.
I haven't.
It's a free world, right?
So we're talking about cryptocurrency wallets, and I got to say that Airbits was probably one of the best. That was one of my go-tos, actually, to always send new users just because it had this merchant map in there. I just thought that was the coolest
that was
feature.
So much fun. Oh, great. I'm going to get a hard time from our team now because they're like, oh, we don't have that anymore in Edge. And then you guys start talking about how that was the cool feature. And
it was. I mean,
it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I got to admit. I traveled to a conference. And I would tell my guys, hey, guys, let's make sure we got all the merchants before I get to this conference because I'd hit up all the shops. We paid in Bitcoin. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I was using Airbits, that was one of the big draws. The two big draws were, one, the merchant map, and two, the gift card stuff that was in Airbits.
Yeah, when it worked.
So that became a problem because it was so much to try to keep up with. It was more to keep up with than actual wallet.
We're okay keeping up with adding people, but no one ever told us when people stop taking crypto.
Oh,
they made a big deal when people start taking, but they never say when they stop. And so it was a whole lot of fun, wasn't it, Chuck, until you go to the store and they're like, what?
Yeah.
What's Bitcoin? So
to clarify to the viewers at home, I'm not indeed Chuck Williams. I'm Joel Valenzuela with Dash Force. I'm subbing for Chuck and occasionally taking on his mannerisms. So, yes, that's been an issue.
Well, but to be fair, Joel is the premier Chuck Williams impersonator on the planet.
Yes, we're in Vegas, in a town where people get impersonated, and so this is the thing you should be doing: is impersonating. Why Elvis when you can impersonate Chuck?
Right? There's 1,000 Elvises. How many Chuck Williams
impersonators are there?
I believe I might have cornered the market.
So, well, Joel, you guys are actually doing pretty much the same thing with
Dash.
So discoverdash.com
is the premier. Maybe I can talk some smack, and if someone wants to correct me, that's fine. I believe it's the premier cryptocurrency business listing on the planet. As far as real world merchants all around, we have over 4,000 listed. Growing all the time. It was 500 at the beginning of the year. That's pretty great.
And I wouldn't doubt it.
Believe we're working on a mobile application that could be out soon. So you got your Dash wallet, and then you got your Discover Dash app, and then either, obviously putting everything into one wallet. Like how often do you go to a Bank of America app? I mean, I don't know how these Venmos, these PayPals and stuff work. But
PayPal.
Emphasis on the pain.
That's a great name for it.
They actually did have a merchant directory in the PayPal wallet at one point in time, if not still today.
Was it popular though?
PayPal with a physical brick and mortar merchant just wasn't popular. Period. Like no one wanted to walk up to the restaurant and pay with PayPal. It was a pain. Didn't really connect. It just wasn't a cool thing to do. And so
it was a pain.
So there you go. So yes, I don't know how popular it was. I don't know if they still have it, but it was one of the inspirations.
But one thing I do use on a constant basis is Yelp. And so we wanted to make the Yelp for crypto. And since I kind of wanted to do this for a lot of cryptos in the past, but then it ended up being, by the time I was like working with Dashes, I could get the momentum behind it and actually get paid to do this, right? This great volunteer service I was doing before, now I get to pay to do it. And so anyway, Discover Dash also has a live chat that's like, I think of 40 hours a week. There's some guy behind it answering any kind of crypto questions whatsoever, but a lot related to the actual site, which by the way, I believe there's 2 different Dash help desks that are like 24 hours or something. One's in Venezuela. I don't remember where the other one was.
Why don't you send a link over to Paul and he can just
Yeah, you can stick that into the app. That way, any problems with Dash?
Just call right there. But and we have been diligent about the removals as well. There's been few, but once in a while we see one say, "Hey, go type in the live chat and say, oh, this isn't taking it anymore." There's been a few, but generally speaking, we don't want to see removals. Yeah, if something's working for you, why would you remove it? Right? How many uninstalls do you get for Edge? Do you get a lot of those? Do you know how to track them?
We could track them. We definitely, especially when we started marketing to some like really inexpensive, like click-through rate type of ads, you'll realize a lot of them are just kind of like bots. Basically, people just helping the ad revenue. So we had a skyrocket, but now it's pretty leveled off. And so overall, we're still, definitely acquiring more than we're losing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I do know some people in particular have suggested the use case of when you're flying from a country to another, a lot of times they ask you to like declare how much money you have in your account at home, not just how much you have available for this trip, and a bunch of other invasive stuff.
Right.
As well as, doesn't New Zealand now make you unlock your phone?
I heard there is now some legislation saying that they could require that, or they'll give you a hard time or deport you or something or another.
So I know a lot of people, to finish the edge case, which I'm sure is going to be a fun little buzzword to use a lot. The edge case of, because it has a username and password set up, just completely uninstall the app. And you have no crypto on your phone, and you get through. It's all up here. It's all in the head. You go reinstall it, put in your username and password, all your funds are back.
But wasn't there an actual case of this? Maybe one of your co-hosts did this coming from England?
Yes, one of my buddies did in fact use that when he came to the US. So I don't know if he did or if he talked about using it.
I know people have both talked about and claimed that they've used it. I don't know anyone who would say, "Oh, thank God I did that," because like they actually got searched and whatnot and had to unlock their phone. And so,
well, I mean, how many people do you think who, for example, crypto steal, have one of those backing up their wallet? Like, oh, thank God I had that because my house burned down. Probably not many. You just want to have it in one case. Of those.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to do the hopefully you don't need to have done this procedure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no question about it. And there's a few things that if people have asked for that we started to think about, and it could apply in those cases, but also applies for some fairly legitimate security reasons, which are things like duress codes. So you enter a different PIN and all you see is like your little spending wallet of $5 and $10 and nothing else shows up. And so we have been asked for that. And that is a legitimate, security use case. And so
how does that work?
For example, say if the wallet takes a certain PIN, you enter a different one and it unlocks the wallet, but it only shows certain wallets that you chose in your account. Not all of them. Maybe you'll have a couple of wallets. Edge, you can add multiple wallets of each type of crypto. So you can have 2 Bitcoin, 2 Dash, 2 Ethereum. And
I have 2 Dash wallets in my Edge wallet. One is in USD. The other one is in MXN.
There you go. So you can have, maybe say your MXN is relatively empty with only 10 or $20.
So you have a Dash wallet in MixIn's. Do you have a Monero wallet in MixIn's?
What's a Monero? I don't even know what a Monero wallet is. What's that? It doesn't work very well on your platform.
Oh boy. Yeah, how much
are we going to go there?
We'll go there in a little bit.
I'm always a man for the gossip.
Before we go there,
before
we go there, let's get into a little bit more about the usability and stuff of the Edge wallet and where that's going.
Let's start with negative, because there's very little negative. The only complaint I have is the QR code scanner app part of it is
slow.
Not good.
Yeah, it's kind of slow.
It's slow. It doesn't grab as well. But other than that, I have no problems.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was actually just looking at the library that we use for QR code scanning that comes by default in this developer environment we call that's called React Native that we use. And there's a list of people complaining of, hey, why does React Native use this library called Xcrossing versus Xbar or Zbar, because it's noticeably slower, especially on Android. It's like acceptable on iOS, but it's noticeably slower on Android. So they're recommending that the entire platform, React Native is a developer platform built by Facebook. And so they're saying, why don't you guys switch over to this other one, which is noticeably faster on Android? And so that is an active convo.
Yeah.
We can kind of jump ship from the main developer tree and actually support the faster library ourselves.
Yes.
So right now we're just going to hope and nudge that they use the faster library sooner rather than later, because we definitely would like that to get to sped up.
The best experience I've had with the QR code grabbing itself has been with the proprietary Dash wallet. I'm not sure if it uses something different, but one thing I noticed that and a few other of those wallets do is those 3 little boxes in the QR code, it grabs them, like visually puts a green around them or whatever that says you, and that helps the user to properly focus the camera. Scan it. And I have not seen that in Edge though.
Yeah,
So-
no, it's it generally it snaps and scans it once it sees it. Usually by the time you see those 3, you're already done.
Yeah.
So it's not like
low light conditions can help.
yeah. So
Anyway, I don't want to
wanting
obsess over the
definitely
QR code scan.
No, I mean all the little nuggets are what make you feel kind of like that good subconscious good feeling about an app or anything that you use, and some of those subtle things can kind of make or break. So I'm aware of that. Hence why literally on the plane I was kind of looking at like what are the different libraries that are available that could make this a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Most people don't. So one thing in software development that you just come to realize is you don't build everything from scratch. You're going to have to use something else. If you build a house or build a roof, you're not going to make the tiles. You're not going to build the hammer. And so we have to make that decision as well and use some other tools. And this one was the default in the environment. It just wasn't that good. So we might have to go through a little bit of extra work to kind of like
what about
touch that up.
new users?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have one of the easiest wallets. I mean, I would guess that even Mark Cuban could open a wallet.
We
gave him some Bitcoin.
We tried, right? We saw him together in Austin.
We gave him an Airbits preloaded card
in Austin back then. God, was it South by Southwest?
Yeah, we are able to say that we gave Bitcoin to Mark Cuban.
Whether or not he was smart enough to actually claim it.
Yeah, I don't know if he claimed it, but we gave it to him. He has it.
I saw a tweet a couple years ago about someone giving Bitcoin to Bill Clinton. Clearly didn't work because he's shilling for Ripple now, but whatever. It's not even a joke.
Right.
As Ripple learned, you can get anyone to shill for you with enough money.
Right.
Yes. All hail the pre-mine.
Yeah.
So even all the way back to Airbits, it's always been kind of the most user-friendly wallet I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Where are you going? What are you going to do to make it even easier? Because apparently things are
Danny's
not
spoiled.
easy enough. I mean,
there's always challenges. So one of the things that we're hard at work on is the kind of integrated exchange functionality. So right now, I mean, if you remember in Airbits, people had some options to use exchanges, and there were definitely not some of the smoothest pieces of Airbits.
Yeah, that was the one.
And a lot of this went through partner services. And so while we do our best to try to smooth that out, there's some things that are not in our control. So the one thing that is in our control is who we partner with.
Right.
And so you might see some different partners in Edge for conversions, both in and out of the US, that we're going to hope give people a really good user experience. But I'll say this as a caveat: going from fiat in a bank to crypto is generally hard. You're going from a system that doesn't want you to leave to a system that they hate. They don't want to make that easy. They really, really don't. And so, it is a bit of a challenge, and some do better than others. Some do better for a while and then bad afterwards. But that's one of the things that we're going to target to at least be more accessible and a little bit cheaper. Right now, people can get Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Ripple, and a couple others using integrated service Simplex.
Yeah.
They can go from credit card. It does cost like 6%, which is cheap relative to credit cards. For credit, it's not too bad, but it's fast. It's usually within the hour.
It's not bad.
An example that I've been using lately is my son is telling me about his roommates. He's 22. Yeah. He's all into crypto. He's getting most of his income is in crypto now because he's working with people. But his roommates, even though he's right there holding their hand, they don't want to take the time to learn.
They don't want to deal with it.
They don't want to learn.
When is he getting new roommates?
There you go. Okay. So either that's it. That's
like
the answer.
How many of you here have gotten new friends?
That's what
I got a few. I stopped after a while. I kind of hit my cutoff point.
Well, all of my
also
friends
known as getting old.
But then it's like, how many of you have kind of slightly purged some of the old friends?
Yeah.
The pre-crypto.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Also known as the wallet uninstall rate, you know?
Yeah. I've uninstalled my friends.
You just didn't find that you were launching them as often anymore.
Right. Exactly. But still, how do we make it easier for even them and their grandmother?
So some of the things that we're looking at is not necessarily from what you see in Edge. We've made that from the viewpoint of a new user as easy as we think we can from the onboarding of someone to create a wallet. The purchase of crypto, that obviously will come with onboarding exchange providers. One of the things that we're looking at doing to make that part a little bit smoother and uniquely enabled by Edge is actually being almost like a mini password manager. Since we actually encrypt and hold private keys, client-side encrypted and backed up, that data we hold doesn't have to be private keys. It can actually be personal info. your name, address, email, all client-side encrypted. We can't see any of that info. And so when you sign up for one exchange, you might provide some info, but then when you sign up for another, it can get automatically populated. And for me, you don't realize that is one of the biggest hurdles for me to go to a new service is like, I got to fill in this info, fill in that info, send that photo. And so automating that and making it less repetitive and painful on your phone is one of the pieces.
Would services like Civic being integrated into what you're doing help? Or?
Well, it would help only if those specific services accepted Civic. If they don't, then we're going back from scratch. And it's a long shot to get a lot of them to accept it because that means that they are delegating their trust in whether or not the information is valid of a user to someone else.
So it's like rotary dial for on the internet. Or
can you imagine doing that? It's a one baud modem, you know. And so that's one piece of the user experience we're trying to improve on from the viewpoint of people that are like really using a lot of crypto with different wallets and many different currencies, performance as well. So trying to get the app to run as smooth as possible and snappy as possible for people with like a lot of different wallets. That's something we're working on because that, you know, being a client-side wallet, a lot of wallets, even if they're non-custodial, they actually operate very heavily on the server side. They do a lot of work there, whereas we're just about near 100% client-side. So we have to talk to parse information from the blockchain, create transactions locally, all of that. And that has a burden on the application. So trying to optimize that is another big piece of what we're actively working on.
You know, So as far as the integrations, that reminds me of the Dash Android wallet just got Uphold integrated into it.
Yeah, and it's able to acquire Dash right from a bank account.
I mean, it seems relatively smooth and simple, although I wouldn't know someone bank, but it's like those kinds of things are things that I look for.
Right, those are important. So
what do you mean you're unbanked?
It means I don't have a bank account.
You don't have a bank account?
Yeah. Why do you?
What do you? Yeah.
You have a dirty 4-letter word?
Yeah, no, it's just because that's one of those things about when we're talking about like the mythical user. Everyone has a customer that they're trying to make happy out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so if you're trying to cater to people to use something to be their own bank, why not become the mythical consumer? Right? You know, live amongst them. And so you're part of...
You realize in Mexico, you'd be part of the majority.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it funny that when I used to live in Mexico, I did have a bank account, and now I live here. I don't. I got to keep a piece of the motherland with me all the time, you know?
Doesn't smell right without having a bank.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway. But yeah, and speaking of integration stuff, I remember talking a while about you should get instant send for Dash and Edge Wallet and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's starting to turn out that maybe in a few weeks, instant send for basic transactions might become default on Dash. So you might even integrate instant send without even knowing it.
They just become with this the standard transaction just automatically becomes instant send?
I believe it's
awesome.
Like 3 inputs or fewer. It's just automatically instant send and the extra fee is waived. So,
wow. That could be amazing.
Yeah.
Even for unconfirmed inputs.
Yeah. Well, I think you need at least 5 confirmations on amounts, otherwise to do it. But anyway, just to have that also, I mean, obviously it makes it easier for wallets that already support instant send. But for wallets that just haven't gone around integrating it or whatever.
Yeah, I think making things on by default is key, especially when they become invisible for providers to integrate. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
One reason why, for example, probably one of the competitive advantages of having Monero in a wallet, nice segue, right, is that its special features are default by its use.
Default. And I give them credit for that for sure. I've been getting in a lot of conversations about privacy coins as of late and comparing and contrasting several.
And believe me, the people who are into that love to converse.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot.
There's so much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
How much time you got on the show? We can talk about privacy coins and the different features, and people seem to take these privacy coins and they kind of bucket them. Not even a bucket. They just put them linear, like, oh, this is more than this and this is better than that. But they don't realize that there's very different avenues by which they achieve privacy.
Yeah, like
some overlap, some don't.
I heard Verge has like perfect privacy.
I'd argue that one.
You can tell I'm clearly trolling. Okay, but anyway, I understand.
I'd argue that one. And actually, I'd argue that with pretty much any implementation currently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no perfect, but I think there is the potential, given the right protocols, for if you mix and match some of the stuff that different coins are doing into one, you could come up with one that is insanely good. Like really, really, really freaking good. But they're all choosing like, well, this one's good here, but then they chose this other shitty thing here, which this other coin is kind of using. And then, yeah, you know what I mean?
So yeah, the mishmash of different protocols. Have you ever like grabbed any of these developers by the shirt and be like,
totally.
Just break down your pride, implement this thing too, and you're perfect.
No,
and then they don't listen?
Yeah, no, I've done that with, definitely done that with Monero. And done that with Zcoin, although they're actually looking at implementing the thing that I've been like, oh, please, someone do this. And so
the segue.
The segue, oh yeah. So you were mentioning, it's good that Monero has privacy on by default.
Yes.
No, that is good.
It's got to have give an edge to edge.
Yeah, no, that does give us a bit of an edge. I think we're one of the few multi-asset wallets that has Monero. Which other ones? I know they have some community wallets.
Coin payment? I mean, Coinomi yet?
I don't think they're on Coinomi.
And we both instantly go to our
wallet.
What do you guys have Coinomi wallets for?
I don't ever use it. I have it because one time.
No, actually, I mean, I use it as a test wallet for new coins that we're adding that maybe they already have.
Oh.
So no question about it. Other wallets have stuff we don't. Sometimes they beat us to the punch and integrate something.
I don't see a Monero in here.
Yeah, I don't remember them having Monero. I think when we launched, we were the only multi-asset wallet on desktop or mobile.
That wouldn't surprise me. Definitely not the first to try, but the first to make it to the top of that mountain.
Yes, and it was quite a steep mountain. I'll say that. It was a steep and tall mountain.
It gets harder every day? Or?
Yeah, so it just got harder recently as of about a couple of weeks ago.
I heard about the Bulletproofs.
The Bulletproofs. Don't get me wrong. I think the tech is cool. Like, it does actually make transactions faster and cheaper. That was awesome. And I think it is a bit early, though. So from the viewpoint of cryptography, you generally don't adopt crypto in a production environment for at least like 3 years after it's been studied and kind of like battle hardened in non-production. It's been less than a year since Bulletproofs were invented. Someone out there in the interwebs, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's been less than a year. It was actually presented in Austin at Texas Bitcoin conference, and they mentioned the years that these different technologies were invented. So that was a bit surprising, but the way they rolled out Bulletproofs was what I'd call less than optimal. They rolled out a hard fork a couple weeks ago that allowed you to use Bulletproofs on the chain. So it made it optional, kind of like how you could use SegWit transactions, but you didn't have to. And that's cool. That's kind of how you roll out new features, right? That's great. But they then required them and made them mandatory 14 hours later with another hard fork.
Oh.
So that gave you 14 to maybe more than 14, but no more than a day. Gave you no more than a day to be on the main chain and actually use these transactions before you were forced to make them mandatory in a wallet. And so,
wow. I don't know the logic behind that decision.
I don't know either. Like, why couldn't you have them for even a month? Because we're Monero. Because we're Monero, right? And so that's one thing. And now, granted, you could have been prepping the software.
Kiss the ring signature.
Right? Yes. My precious ring signatures, which they wiped out for Bulletproofs. But and so one of the challenges that we ran into is that we partner with Monero to utilize their service as well as their SDK, their open source SDK, to be able to speak Monero. And the SDK wasn't fully updated for production use with Bulletproofs until the day of the fork. And so that gave us zero time to integrate it into our application. And to make things a bit more complicated, the new SDK was 100% a breaking change from the previous one. And so we couldn't just plug it in, like, upgrade, go from 0.1 to 0.2 and all done. No, it's like upgrade. And I've been spending about 3 to 4 hours a day for the past 2 weeks, completely refactoring our code to be able to use the new library.
Does that affect you guys in Japan or anything where they're trying to exclude privacy coins? Or?
Well, it turns us into the best Monero hodler's wallet. So it can actually receive Monero just fine, but because of the Bulletproof requirement, we weren't able to send out. So this is actually still currently the state of the Edge app today in the App Store.
Whoa. That sounds like Mt. Gox.
You
can put it in, but you can't get it out.
You can't. Yeah. So one thing, just like Edge,
welcome to you can always hotel my Monero.
You can't always take your private keys out and put it into another app like my Monero to get the funds out. So it's more of an inconvenience than oh my god, my money's locked up. Right. So it's not that. We do want people to be able to transact. We do like the Bulletproof tech, and and that does make things faster and cheaper. We do have it working in our own kind of debug pre-release application. So we're seeing like super low fees, like 1 cent or lower to send a transaction. And it is faster now too. Anyone that's used Monero and Edge, you're like, oh my God, I'm waiting like 30 seconds to send a transaction. Now it's like a couple seconds and then boom, transactions out there. So we're excited to finally get it done and rolled out. But definitely it was one of the more challenging things to deal with was this very kind of sudden transition, hard fork, the lack of update of the libraries available, and then the constant breaking change of the libraries. Like they're constantly changing APIs, and it's hard to keep up to date.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking I should not recommend Monero to my grandmother.
Well, once it's working, she doesn't have to code the libraries herself, I hope.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So, depending on the grandmother, I would probably recommend it to my grandmother because she's just weird like that.
Well, at least she gets, a good thing is she gets privacy by default. She doesn't have to go hit this switch and touch this and, hey, I'm going to go to this mixer and do that mixing thing. And you know, all of that, the on by default, I'm all for that. And I think that's why they have so much credibility in the whole privacy thing is the on by default. The tech they chose, Bulletproof's cool. Stealth addresses kind of suck. You know, I've been pushing to try to get something other than stealth addresses because they suck balls, and that's the reason why a lot of people lose privacy in Monero. Is this tech of stealth addresses requires you to trust a full node or run one, and that's kind of the only choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of an issue with a lot of privacy coins on mobile devices.
It is, but it doesn't have to be. There is a protocol that I'm pretty excited about. If you guys haven't studied or have you guys ever had Justice Ranveer on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Has he talked about his proposal?
Yeah, I used to dog sit for him.
Oh,
all the time.
Was he in Austin?
Yeah, he lives in Austin.
Is he still in Austin?
He is probably one of the lead developers for the Stash node.
Stash, right?
Yeah.
And that's based out. It's okay. So he's there. So yeah, I'm sure he's talked about.
Wrote BIP 47.
Exactly. So that's the BIP that I'm actually pretty excited about. That I think the privacy coin should be implementing by default. I think that is the only proposal that allows people to have like the equivalent of this one address that you can send money to.
It's called a payment channel.
Payment code. It's a payment code.
Codes.
Reusable payment codes. And so I've talked to him at length about it. We chatted in Japan about when I saw him over there at a conference, and I'm all for it.
He's really popular among the core Bitcoin core group.
Is he?
No.
They don't like him.
No.
They don't like him, and he don't care.
He don't care, as he shouldn't care. I saw him at a Bitcoin Cash conference in Japan, the Satoshi's Vision.
Oh, okay.
And so, probably not so.
That's the funny thing is there's so much in the space right now that has nothing to do with usability or end product. There's a lot of like politics. Like we don't want to use this specific
because we didn't build
protocol because either we didn't build it,
we didn't think of it,
or because the founder's really in love with it. It's like the fandom type thing.
Can I get you guys interested in my new coin, Cult Coin?
Yeah,
Cult. I like that. It
Cult
fits
coin.
within a little like coin tag, 4 digits.
With that was spelled with a K.
Yeah, KLT.
Cult Coin.
KLT, not KE.
Although that's assuming it's KULT and not KL something or else T.
Right.
So just make sure. I think you need to put the vowel. Leave the vowel in there.
Yeah, I gotta have a Q.
Leave the vowel in there.
Yeah,
it's got a Q at the end.
But that is the protocol I'm pretty excited about. So Justice, hats off. I think that's a pretty good protocol. I hope the privacy coins start implementing it. I know he wants it on Bitcoin. It's going to be too hard to get anyone to agree on Bitcoin at this point. I kind of give up on like standards on top of that.
They're adding a hardware wallet soon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I'm not a big fan of hardware
their next
wallets.
step.
You're not?
I'm actually not.
Oh, what's that? What's that reason? Because a lot of people really love them.
A lot of people really love them because they're told to love them. Right now, I think they're kind of a necessity in this day and age because multisig isn't well baked out yet. Like there aren't good solutions to use multisig.
Yeah.
But I don't imagine that in our future we're going to have 7 billion people in the world. I don't even think we'll have 3 billion people using hardware wallets. I imagine our phones will become secure enough where you can at least hold a key out of like multisig across you and your family. And that will be very automatic. Or even like the way you'd set up Edge where you just create an account and you log in. That could create a vault wallet where you have a 2 of 2 multisig with a semi-trusted third party that only has one key, right? That will co-sign up to a certain threshold limit. And there you go. You've got vault caliber security because now you've got to compromise my phone and that third party at the same time. In order to get more than, I don't know, $100 a day or something like that. And that could be just automatic. There's nothing for your grandma to do. It's like just create the account.
So when is Edge coming out with a hardware wallet?
Never.
When is Edge coming out with anything multi-sig?
Never did. A multi-sig, we definitely actively talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would expect the next major like upgrade to Edge, other than like, adding a coin here and there, will be along the lines of multi-sig. Probably the two. Actually, I'd love to ask you guys and like the audience in general, if you're listening to this and you're on Twitter, at Edge Wallets, our handle, I'd love to hear what you'd think. Would you rather have multi-sig or a desktop version of Edge if you had to pick one? And so we kind of battle this internally. We're not sure what people are asking for more so. And it would be obviously a multi-sig across multiple assets. It would cover Dash. It would cover Bitcoin Cash.
I would introduce a third option if possible.
Instant send,
like that. No, because that's going to be by default anyway. One thing I don't like to talk about, I don't mean to talk about competitors, and especially I don't mean to talk about Jax in a positive light. However, I did find that little Chrome plugin thing to be handy, or something like that, where I don't have
effectively
to
desktop equivalent.
Yeah, where I don't have to go and open a whole different app to then go pay. I'm just like, because when you shop online, and doing your shopping stuff, and you go to pay, which is faster, opening up a desktop wallet or just taking your phone out and scanning the QR code on the screen?
If your wallet's on the desktop, that's definitely going to be ready right there. If you're currently on your desktop, whatever's on there is going to be faster. If you're currently on your phone, whatever's there is going to be faster.
As long as it loads is fast, because, for example, if I was to load something like, say, Exodus or something like that, it'd probably take longer than just whipping out my phone.
Right. So because you're loading up a brand new desktop app, it's not like a plugin; it's already running.
Yes, exactly. So if it's a plugin or something like that,
an extension,
I can just whip out and then pay like that.
That's
quickly.
Equivalent for us. That's equivalent in many ways to writing a desktop wallet. We could make it where it doesn't have all the features. Like you can't list your balances and transactions. You can't turn this, and this off. You could just send money. So that could achieve some of what you're asking for without writing the whole thing. The things that we thought about with the desktop app that, for security purposes, though, which would kind of defeat what you're asking for, is to build one that has the UI, because people want more space to deal with their wallets and their balances and transfer, but to confirm any transactions on their mobile. Meaning that I can go and see this bigger interface on my computer to see balances and whatnot, and tag transactions. But when I actually want to do a transaction, my phone becomes kind of like my validation, confirmation, hardware wallet-ish device to confirm it. That's what people are kind of asking for with the desktop interface. But from the viewpoint of desktop or multi-sig. Multi-sig from the viewpoint of we want to build something where people don't have to have like this mobile and a hardware wallet. Right. And really vault caliber security for your mass savings in a fairly simple, invisible manner.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. Because also already in my personal, so I don't know of many multi-sig wallets, period, for any coin. I know the Dash core team spent a whole long time working on this thing called the Dash fork of the Bitcoin's Copay wallet.
Right. That was
it was a giant. It was just so much technical debt inherited. It took so long. I mean, it probably got developers fired over it. It was a complete mess. And now it's just sort of public beta, mainnet beta, and it's just, that's it. We're not going to touch it anymore because it was such a pain. But I still like the concept of it. And how many times do I have my girlfriend at the farmer's market texting me, "Hey, I'm going to buy the meat or whatever. Can you send me some Dash over to my wallet? Because I realize I'm almost out." Then, this is my literal life, right? So being able to have like a shared wallet type thing in there, that might be.
No, I think I love the Copay model. We use Copay actually for both. Personal. What's that? No. You can say whatever you want, because I know it's good and bad. The good is, yes, it's multi-sig. It happens to be what I call governance-based multi-sig, meaning you choose who has keys and you figure out your own security around that. Like even if, say, the three of us here had a 2 or 3 multi-sig, we still got to figure out. Hey, Danny,
I'm on a Copay wallet with Roger Ver and Lynn Ulbricht.
Sweet.
Are you?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
So what is now the little protocol between you and Roger and Lynn to say when someone else should sign? Like, do I call you?
Oh, it's Lynn's wallet, so she just she texts me.
So she texts you, but so is there something she has to put in the text so you know it's her?
I talk to her on the phone usually.
So she has to call you, right? So all of that little protocol of when do I actually sign you kind of have to build between each other. So it's not automatic. So it's not what I call this kind of invisible security. You still have to build the rule sets.
Yeah, of course.
So it's great for groups, families, companies. But from the viewpoint of, hey, I just want to secure a lot of money. Right? That's where you want something that's kind of automatic. And it's just like, I think it feels like a hardware wallet. And I just don't do anything and it just works. Kind of like how people trust some of these exchanges as if they're the hardware wallet, with a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That's our mid to long-term goal, is to build something like that, utilizing multisig across different currencies. And you just put the money in it and you've got, spending limit protection across multiple keys.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. So you keep the wifey under control when she goes out to Home Goods or something and wants to bring home a ton of furniture or whatever.
Yeah, she's gonna have to dip into the vault, but that's gonna require only a certain amount of money she can spend. Otherwise, Daddy gets a call and blah blah blah.
Yeah, keep it on a tight leash. Or for example, you can put yourself on a tight leash if you find a local pub that takes Dash or whatever, and you just got to be cut off at a certain level. Otherwise, it's a problem.
So without multisig, there's
honey, I know I can drink another beer. Come on.
Yeah.
And then instead, and then when you decline the two or three or whatever, when you decline it, it automatically sends an Uber. It's like, time to go home, buddy.
Oh, it's a smart Copay.
No, but that is a practical. It's a joke, but it's a practical application for like people who have good sense when they're sober and don't have good sense when they're not sober. Just another round, and maybe not.
They just have to know that money's been going to a bar this whole time.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that you were doing with Airbits was these little cards and stuff that you were handing out to
little hidden bits cards.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Are you guys going to do that again with the Edge
so we
wallet
are
to try to get new users?
Oh, we totally are. So everything got just a bit more complicated as soon as we went multi-asset. So now it's like, what are the different formats of all the different keys on all the different coins? Because we don't want to make it just Bitcoin.
Right.
Like, Airbits was only Bitcoin, so that's all we had to think about. Now it's like, okay, we definitely want to support a Dash. We want to support a Bitcoin Cash. We want to support Ethereum.
Well, so that you're not bearing the expense, why don't you come up with something that you could give to Dash and say, hey,
here's a little
Dash Boost. Why don't you guys put a little bit of money on these cards to get some people on?
So
Bitcoin.
Well, not so much the card itself, but it really is the tech that we have to build to enable that and empower that. So the different formats. I don't know if you knew what those cards did. They did more than, they weren't just private keys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. They had some cool little marketing behind them that when a user scanned one of those keys.
Very cool. It was automatically sent a text out. Hey, I just got some free Bitcoin from Airbits.
It would send a little marketing message on their screen, and they could choose to tweet it to their friends.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty versatile in that sense. We love them. And now it's just a matter of like, let's get that back into Edge. And then we got to support a few different currencies with it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's like Dash or these other currencies could actually fund that for you if they want.
It could be. I mean, there's already something called Crypto Tips, which is a little printable, customizable paper wallet type thing. You can preset an expiration date, so the money can go back to you if no one redeems it. Because like,
who's got the key then?
I'm guessing the proprietor, right? I'm guessing the issuer has it. And
Ian?
so
Got it.
What was that?
Is it Ian?
Well, Ian Freeman's the one who got the thing made, but it helps because if you just give someone a paper wallet,
right.
How many times is someone going to sweep that, even if they think it has money on it?
Oh man, we have a whole bunch of like hidden bits that we hadn't given out yet, and so there's like sitting on my little computer, like $3 to $30 a piece. I counted them at the peak of Bitcoin, and we had enough to pay payroll for like one cycle.
Yeah, so
and then it's all just kind of like skyrocketed in value.
So next time you're like, I'm sorry, we're not doing that well. We got to let you go. Got to lay you off. They're like,
here's your check. It's a tip.
What about the paper wallet?
It's like 50 QR codes. There's your patient.
Yeah, I better scan them all. And you're just like
scan. Actually, the only reason why we hadn't swept them yet is because it was a pain to sweep. It's like I'd have to go scan. We have to build an app that could sweep them all.
What was the total number of them?
Oh, this is in probably like 90 plus. 90 to 100, maybe
an hour. I could figure it out. Not really. But
give me an hour and a few $1,000s, and
I was giving them out to the Arcade City drivers in Austin to get them on board with using crypto. So.
Yeah, I remember the Austin conference last year. We had we got an Uber, we got a Lyft driver who actually was part of Arcade City and actually had our wallet already.
That's very nice. Yeah,
that was cool.
Well,
thank you.
You probably did because we actually organized for those drivers to be at the conference and to accept crypto.
The Lyft driver specifically? Because we ordered a Lyft.
Oh, that must have been just a...
Yeah, we ordered a Lyft and got an Arcade City driver.
He must have been randomly in the area.
Yeah, exactly.
Or purposefully in the area, and then when you picked up, I guess I got one of these.
Yep. And we ended up actually not getting a Lyft to ride, but actually getting an Arcade City ride.
Canceled the ride or something?
Yeah, we basically just canceled the ride and paid him in crypto.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, tell us more about Edge and how can people find out one? Yeah, how can people find out about it? How can they get the wallet?
Yeah, so the wallet, it's on iOS and Android. Just go to the App Store. Actually, better just go to our website, so edge.app. That makes sure you're downloading the right legitimate wallet. You're not getting phished by some fake copy in the App Store. But
yeah, like free wallet.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know what that company is. I've never seen them anywhere in any of the conferences. So yeah, just go to edge.app. That's an easy way to get the application. And then if you're a developer by any chance and you're working on any of the dApps, one thing that we do have now that we're pushing out is our SDK that gives you that user experience that Danny so talks about. Like, oh, it's the easiest one to onboard people on. Well, guess what? You can put that now inside of your dApp. So your user base isn't having to deal with download MetaMask, write down 24 words, blah, blah, blah. Instead, they go to your site or download your app and they just create an account and log in, and it feels just like you're using Edge.
Do you still have the merchant service that was there on Airbits?
So it's actually still running. You can actually dig around deep and find it. It's still on an airbits.co/something or other.
I've used it at the pizza shop in Phoenix. That's their system there.
The merchant directory?
No, they're using the Airbits as their point of sale.
As a point of sale. Oh, yeah. No, you could still actually use Airbits, the app.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still in the app stores, and we're not going to pull it out of the app stores. However, we're not going to be updating it on a regular basis, probably after the end of this year. So it means that Apple still continue to function. You can still send and receive money. But if you start upgrading your phone and iOS upgrades every so often and Android upgrades, after a while, those newer phones won't support older apps. So be forewarned that over time, Airbits will cease to function on newer phones. And it'll be a slightly sad moment here in my eye. But at the same time,
Me too.
Yeah.
I have Airbits on all of my devices.
Yeah. For those that do have an Airbits account, you should be able to take your username, password, and just punch it into Edge. That carries over your balance, your Bitcoin wallets, and then you can then go and create a Dash wallet inside of Edge and other cryptos and use that, and even use Shapeshift and Changely, which I guess I didn't even talk about what we just added last week. But now you can use both Shapeshift and Changely at the same time. Edge will price hunt across both exchanges to get you the best price to go from one crypto to another. We just added support for Stellar, and Changely supports it, so you can go through.
And next you're going to be adding support for discoverdash.com on the Dash wallet, right?
It'll be.
Why didn't you guys do that?
A little plugin that shows you the different merchants.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Actually, we do have a plugin architecture in Edge to put third-party apps that can interact with a wallet. Although I think Discover Dash probably doesn't interact with a wallet directly. It's just the merchant.
Yeah, it's just like a Yelp.
Just like a little Yelp. Yeah, we'll talk about it. It might be able to kind of drive people over to that app.
But it
might drive other coins to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's definitely happened before. But there was I know Smartcash and Ripple, of all people, have literally copied the exact same directory theme that Discover Dash uses. Like the down to the theme, it even looks exactly the same out of the box, whatever. But as far as plugins,
there's a merchant that accepts XRP. Really?
I mean, we had Shitcoin payments. That guy here, and great company. I use that as a joke because they accept every shitcoin under the sun as well as legit coins. But Potcoin, you can pay your whatever rent in Potcoin or whatever. But sorry, where were we? About Ripple. I'm sure there's stuff that takes XRP. That's the thing that always kind of weirded me out is people say like I thought the token wasn't like meant for cash, yet now it sort of is.
The thing is, I think any token can and will, and the people that build it will want it to be used as cash.
Yeah.
And if it's a fast, quick payment that's cheap, then it's one of those.
Well, yeah, if you can send it and it's not reversible, I mean, why wouldn't they?
There you go. Exactly. I'm actually not. If you took the spectrum of the average person in crypto and whether or not they loved or hated XRP, I'm actually above the threshold of the average of saying I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm on the average of like, it's not as bad as people say, I don't love it,
Is that
per se.
Is that Tiffany's fault?
That it's above average?
Yeah.
No, it's actually a co-founder of mine. It's William Swanson's fault if you want to have it, because he went and bothered to read and understand the protocol and explain it to me.
Yeah.
And when he did, I was like, oh, I get it. So I know what I don't like about it. I don't like that, Ripple owns 60% of the 65% of the coins, but it's not proof of stake. So they don't have 65% hashing power or staking power. So they don't have that, but the consensus mechanism is actually very much like how humans work. And so it makes sense to me. And I see why it's fast, without having to do mining. And so that part I'm okay with. That's why I like Stellar as well, because you don't have, it's the same consensus mechanism, but you don't have a company that owns 65% of the coins. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
cool stuff.
Until next time then, right?
Yep.
All right.
Hopefully there'll be a next time.
Of course there will.
Yeah.